I wanted to surprise my wife, so I wrapped up my mission and came home early. But the person who opened the door was some guy. Hey buddy, who are you looking for? My first thought was that we were being robbed. Just then my wife saw me. Honey, why are you home? He just came over to use the bathroom for a second. Nothing happened between us. You expect me to believe that? And I've got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. Humph, buddy, you've got such a beautiful wife. You should really learn how to hold on to her. Unbelievable, the guy actually had the nerve to provoke me. I didn't say a word, I just calmly took off my jacket, revealing the dark blue police uniform underneath. Police, routine inspection. I'm gonna need to see your ID. Furthermore, your recent actions constitute illegal trespassing, as well as insulting an officer in the line of duty. Seeing the color drain from his face and the look of utter disbelief on my wife's, I knew the game was over. Pick up your clothes. Get dressed. My voice wasn't loud, but it was enough to make the air in the room turn to ice. Shen Hao froze, then stiffly picked his shirt up off the sofa. Ling Huan, my wife of 3 years, finally snapped out of her shock. She lunged forward, trying to grab my arm. Qin Jun, please let me explain. It's not what you think. Are you trying to obstruct an officer in the line of duty too? I leaned away, not letting her touch so much as the hem of my jacket. I gave her a look that froze her right where she stood, not daring to move an inch. She'd never seen me like this before. Shen Hao was escorted out by 2 of my colleagues. As they passed Ling Huan, he still tried to act calm. Han, don't be scared. He won't dare to do a thing to me. Ling Huan could only watch as he was led away, her lips trembling, utterly speechless. In the car, froze her right where she stood, not daring to move an inch. She had never seen me like this before. Shen Hao was being escorted out by 2 of my colleagues. As they were leaving, he passed by Ling Huan and still tried to act calm. Huan, don't be scared. He won't dare to do anything to me. Ling Huan stared blankly as he was led away, her lips tremble and speechless. In the car, Shen Hao in the back seat had regained some of his rich boy arrogance. I'm warning you. My father is Shen Shan. This is abuse of power. I'm getting a lawyer and I will sue you. My colleague driving Xiaoli glanced at me in the rearview mirror. I ignored him, just turning on the player on my phone. A wife that beautiful, you'd better keep a close eye on her. His provocative voice echoed clearly through the cramped car. The color immediately drained from his face. When we got to the interrogation room, I told Xiaoli to wait outside. Captain Qin, I know my limits. After Xiaoli closed the door, I switched off the security camera on the wall, leaving only a recording pen on the table. Shen Hao watched my every move, sweat beading on his forehead. What are you doing? Using force to get a confession that's illegal. I didn't sit, I just stood there looming over him. Shen Hao, 28 years old, vice president of Hongfa Group. Father Shen Shan, mother Wang Liping. You live at Zhongqin 1 Building 12. License plate Jing A8888. With every word I spoke, his face grew another shade paler. All this information, I had my guys on the team pull it on the way here. What do you want? I don't want anything. I'm just curious. How does a corporate vice president have so much free time that he needs to stop by my house to use the bathroom? I told you I was just borrowing it for a second. Nothing happened between me and Ling Huan. I didn't ask if anything happened between you two. She also said I'm like a block of wood that I can't satisfy her. My voice was perfectly calm, without a single ripple of emotion, but every word sent a crack through his mental defenses. He started to tremble. I pushed the recording pen towards him. It doesn't matter whether you talk or not, as I'll be reporting today's incident to my superiors. A rich kid trespassing in someone's home and provoking a police officer. Take a guess. If your father wants to protect you, how much trouble is that going to cost him? And guess what happens when the IRS, the fire department, and the Department of Labor all at the same time suddenly take a little special interest in the Hong Fat Corporation? That was the final straw that broke him. He completely fell apart. He said, I'll talk, I'll tell you everything. For the next half hour, he spilled it all. How they met at a class reunion, how he'd bragged about his wealth and status, and how Ling Hua had complained about how useless and boring I was. She said, you're just a pathetic civil servant with a tiny salary, who has to save for half a year just to buy a handbag. I listened in silence, my knuckles turning white as I clenched my fists. So that's how pathetic I was in her eyes. The phone in my pocket buzzed nonstop. I didn't even have to look to know it was Ling Hua. I pulled out my phone and hung up without even looking at the screen. A flood of text messages popped up. Honey, I was wrong. Can you please come home? It was Shen Hao who seduced me. I just lost my head for a moment, I'm begging you. Our 3 years together can't just end like this, can it? I glanced over them, held my finger down and deleted. Once I had what I wanted, I opened the door to the interrogation room. Home invasion! Insufficient evidence. Give him a verbal warning and let him go. Officer Lee was stunned for a moment, but he nodded and complied. Shen Hao looked like he'd He'd been granted a pardon, scrambling and crawling his way out of the station. He thought he was off the hook. He had no idea this game was just getting started. I got home late that night using my key to open the door, when the overpowering smell of perfume hit me right in the face. The living room lights were dimmed to a low, hazy, warm yellow. Ling Huan was kneeling on the floor in the entryway. Her makeup was perfect, but her drenched hair clinging to her shoulders made her look pathetic. "Honey, you're home. I missed you so much." Big fat tears started rolling down her cheeks. He was just thirsty, so he came in to ask for a glass of water. "We didn't do anything. Shen Hao had just taken his clothes off when you got here. Honey, please, you have to believe me," she pleaded while trying to unbutton my shirt. Seeing her practiced movements right now only made me feel disgusted. I kicked her hand away, not hard, but it was full of contempt. She stared at me, stunned, her eyes filled with disbelief. "Honey!" I tossed the black recording pen onto the glossy coffee table and pressed play. She said, "He's just some worthless civil servant." Shen Hao's scornful and mocking voice echoed jarringly in the quiet living room. "He makes peanuts for a salary he has to think for half a year just to buy a new bag." She said, "He's so boring." Ling Huan's crying suddenly stopped. All the color drained from her face. Her body began to tremble uncontrollably. I walked over to her step by step and squatted down. I grabbed her sharp chin with 2 fingers and forced her to look up at me. "Didn't you say it was just a moment of weakness? You've been planning this for a long time." I threw the pre-printed divorce papers in her face. "Sign it. You're leaving with nothing." The edge of the paper cut her cheek, leaving a small red mark. She finally broke down. "Qin Jun, how could you do this to me? We've been married for 3 years. You're going to make me leave with nothing just because of this? I only made a mistake that any woman in the world could make. Why can't you forgive me just this once?" I looked at her face, twisted in fury, and let out a cold laugh. "Humph! You're going to make me leave with nothing just because of this? I only made a mistake that any woman in the world could make. Why can't you forgive me just this once?" I looked at her face, twisted in fury, and let out a cold laugh. "Humph! I learned it from you." That sentence was the final blow. She crumpled to the floor, her screaming turning into desperate sobs. "Tanquin, please just give me one more chance." I paid no attention to her crying anymore, turning and walking into my study. Over the sound of her sobs, I heard myself say calmly, "I bought this house. Paid in full before the wedding. It's in my parents' names. The car I bought with bonus money I nearly died for. It's also in my name. Your bags, your jewelry, your clothes, you can take them all. Oh, right. The 200 million in your account is the money I've transferred to you over the past 3 years. Make sure you pay me back." I paused for a moment. "If you don't sign, that's fine too. This recording will find its way to your parents' phones tomorrow, to your co-workers at the company, to all of your best friends. The choice is yours." With that said, I didn't give her any more time to react and slammed the door shut. I leaned against the door, my body slowly sliding down until I was sitting on the cold floor. A wave of exhaustion washed over me. Our 3-year marriage felt like a complete joke. The woman that I once thought I would sacrifice everything for had shattered my heart with her own hands. I closed my eyes and all that was left was a bone-deep chill. But tonight was just the beginning. The next morning, as soon as I got to the station, the captain called me into his office. The captain's expression was grim. He pushed a file across the desk to me. "Take a look." It was an anonymous complaint letter. In it, the writer used exaggerated language to describe me as a cop who abused his power, acted with brutality, and claimed that out of personal jealousy, I had coerced a confession from an innocent citizen, causing them severe psychological trauma. The accuser, Shen Hao. The city's leadership has already requested that we handle this appropriately. A clumsy attempt at revenge. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Ling Huan Qin Jun. "Don't take things too far. Shen Hao's family isn't someone you can mess with. Just withdraw the divorce papers, and I'll tell him to drop the charges against you. Let's just make up, okay?" The message was a mix of threats and a bit of self-righteous coaxing. She still thought Shen Hao was her ace in the hole. She still thought I'd be intimidated by this little ploy. I turned off my phone screen and looked up at the captain. This isn't a simple case of slander. I handed him my phone and played the recording of Shen Hao provoking me in the squad car. He's the one who started it. Then, I took out a USB drive and plugged it into the captain's computer. On it was the recording of Shen Hao's statement in the interrogation room. I had edited out the part where I violated protocol. There was also the surveillance video I had the building management pull for me, which clearly showed Shen Hao appearing at my door looking disheveled. This is his voluntary confession, as well as proof that he broke into my home. "Captain, this is a normal civil dispute. In other words, a simple case of adultery. So why would Shen Hao go so far as to use his city connections to pressure me? It doesn't make sense unless he's afraid of something. The captain stubbed out his cigarette, his brow furrowed. What are you getting at? He's been my superior for years. He knows the kind of person I am. I looked into the Hong Fat Corporation. The company has expanded rapidly these past few years, but there are some suspicious things in its financial reports. For him to react this strongly, it's out of character. It wasn't just simple revenge. It was more like he had a guilty conscience, afraid we'd use this as an opportunity to investigate his family's company. Not bad, kid. Sending you undercover would be a waste of your talent. He looked at me, his eyes filled with that familiar sharpness and trust. Let me handle the complaint, you don't need to worry about it. As for the Hong Fat Group, I'm leaving that to you. Don't hold back on the investigation. The entire team has your back. A warmth spread through me. Roger that, I guarantee the mission will be completed. Walking out of the captain's office, I felt a surge of power course through me. I took out my phone, found Ling Huan's number, and replied with 2 words, just wait. After leaving the station, I called a colleague from the tech department, Vuong. Do something for me. Ling Huan's company descended into chaos just half an hour after I left the captain's office. An untraceable ghost number had sent an edited audio recording to the internal work group at Ling Huan's company. He's just a block of wood boring me to death at home. There were over 100 people in that group. Shen Hao's voice wasn't on the recording, only Ling Huan's. She was using a whiny gold digger tone to flirt with a male classmate on the other end of the line. His salary is so low, I have to think twice about buying a purse. You're the one who's both rich and capable. She used such scathing words to complain about her husband. The recording wasn't long, but it was packed with information. The group chat was dead silent at first, then a few seconds later it completely exploded. I never would have guessed. Ling Huan is a really good actress. I always see her husband picking her up after work. He's tall, handsome, and treats her so well. But for Ling Huan's manager, that still wasn't enough. She called her out directly in the group chat. Your personal behavior has seriously damaged the company's image. She was told to leave. No, someone is setting me up. Please, everyone. The company doesn't need an employee with a chaotic personal life. She was ordered to pack up all of her personal belongings and was immediately and humiliatingly escorted out of the company building. But it didn't end there. Her circle of close friends was also in an uproar. That recording was also sent to the sisters she used to go shopping with, the ones she drank tea and shared secrets with. Not a single one of them spoke up for her. The next second, Ling Huan was kicked from the group chat. She lost her job, she lost her friends. That's when she finally remembered to call me. Qin Jun, was this your doing? Why would you destroy me? The evidence wasn't sufficient. You can't just arbitrarily ruin a person's life. She screamed furiously on the other end of the line. I'm going to sue you. Sue you for invasion of privacy. Go ahead and sue, let more people hear it. After all, the recording is real. And when that happens, I might as well send a copy to your parents. The other end of the line immediately went silent. I didn't give her a chance to say another word and hung up directly. In another development, I met with my colleagues from the tax bureau. Through a preliminary analysis of the Hong Fat Group's financial cash flow, we had already secured initial evidence of their tax evasion. I knew this was only the first step in destroying them. Ling Huan's world was collapsing, and Shen Hao's world was about to face its judgment day. I needed a good lawyer, someone who could guarantee Ling Huan would walk away with nothing and could never ever turn the tables. I went to find Su Qing. She is the top divorce lawyer in this city. I needed a good lawyer, someone who could guarantee Ling Huan would walk away with nothing and could never ever make a comeback. I went to find Su Qing. She is the top divorce lawyer in this city. I went to find Su Qing. She is the top divorce lawyer in this city. She is the top divorce lawyer in this city, known for her tough style and ironclad logic. She's never lost a case in her entire career. After hearing my request, looking at the recording pen I placed on the table, the surveillance, footage, and Shen Hao's statement, her eyes lit up. Mr. Chin, I'll take the case. Her red lips curved into a smirk, her voice filled with confidence. I guarantee she won't get a single cent. She got straight to work breaking down for me the relevant legal clauses regarding asset division when one party is at fault. According to marriage law, infidelity is a moral issue, but legally speaking, unless you have video proof of them caught in the act, it's very difficult to use that as the sole reason to make her leave with nothing. But we can attack from other angles. For instance, we can prove that during the marriage, she intentionally transferred or hid shared marital assets, or we can prove her character is flawed, causing you severe emotional distress. And those threatening text messages she sent you, along with her instigating her lover to falsely accuse you, can all be used as evidence in court. As we discussed the case, the logical thinking I displayed and the complete chain of evidence I provided also made her see me in a new light. Mr. Qin, you're more like a lawyer than most clients I've ever had. Different professions, but a similar way of thinking. Very quickly, Ling Huan received a court summons and a lawyer's letter signed by Su Qing. In the letter, the stern and cold wording listed out every single one of her inappropriate actions, and clearly stated that we would be pursuing all of her legal liabilities. Ling Huan completely panicked. She never expected I would actually go through with it, let alone hire the best lawyer in the city. When the hard approach didn't work, she resorted to a softer tactic. I just wasn't thinking straight. Please, can you talk to him for me? She ran to my parents' house, and the moment she walked in, she dropped to her knees, crying hysterically. Get out! Our Qin family doesn't want a daughter-in-law like you. The truth is I had already spoken to my parents and let them listen to that crucial recording. My mother has a short fuse. My mom immediately grabbed a broom and chased her out of the house. Ling Huan's plan to play the victim failed completely. To discuss the details of the case, Su Qing and I arranged to have dinner at a restaurant. In the middle of our meal, a figure suddenly rushed towards our table. You bitch, give me back my husband! It was Ling Huan. Her eyes were bloodshot as she stared at Su Qing, looking like she wanted to eat her alive. She raised her hand about to slap Su Qing across the face, but I reacted faster, grabbing her wrist tightly. Her wrist was so small she couldn't move an inch in my grip. I looked at her face twisted, with jealousy and rage. Ling Huan, don't embarrass yourself any further. Su Qing didn't flinch the entire time, not showing a single hint of panic. She just elegantly dabbed her mouth with a napkin, then looked up at Ling Huan with contempt. Her gaze was filled with disdain and disgust, as if she were looking at some clown making a pointless scene. Let go of me, I'm not done with you. That single look cut Ling Huan deeper, hurting her more than if I had actually slapped her. I forcefully shoved her away. Every eye in the restaurant was now fixed on us. Su Qing remained seated poised and elegant while I stood there coldly. The stark contrast was like a resounding slap in the face. Her pride was shattered. Ling Huan was at her wit's end. The last straw she could grasp at was Shen Hao. I'm sorry, you don't have an appointment. You can't go in. I just want to see him for a moment, just 1 minute. Please. Rules are rules, please leave. But she was stopped at the door by the receptionist and security. She waited in the lobby for the entire afternoon. Finally, she saw Shen Hao. Shen Hao stepped out of a black Bentley dressed impeccably. When he saw Ling Huan, his face immediately soured with impatience. It was like spotting a piece of gum he couldn't scrape off his shoe. His voice dripped with contempt. What are you doing here? You have to help me. Tanquin wants to divorce me, leave me with nothing. You're the only one who can help me. Help you? And why would I do that? Shen Hao shoved her hand away in disgust, as if he had touched something filthy. He looked her up and down, his eyes full of mockery. You didn't actually think I liked you, did you? I was just curious what it was like to be with a cop's wife. It was just for the thrill. Now you're a mess of trouble and the cops are sniffing around my family. You've got some nerve coming to me. You're insane. She couldn't believe the man who had whispered such sweet words to her, who had once held her in the palm of his hand, could now say such cruel and heartless things. Shen Hao pulled a few large bills from his wallet. Take this and get lost. He threw the money right in Ling Huan's face. The bills fluttered gently to the ground, as if mocking her foolishness and humiliation. Ling Huan was humiliated in front of everyone. All her pride and her illusions were utterly crushed. In that moment, could say such cruel and heartless words. Just like that, Shen Hao pulled a few large bills from his wallet. Take this and get lost. He threw it right in Ling Huan's face. The bills fluttered gently down to the ground as if mocking her foolishness and her humiliation. Ling Huan was humiliated in front of everyone, all of her pride, and her illusions were crushed in that single moment. She finally understood what so-called love was, and that her escape, from beginning to end, was nothing but a joke. This scene was arranged by my colleague, who was nearby to gather evidence, and while he was at it, he used a telephoto lens to get a crystal clear video. I forwarded the video to Su Qing. A few seconds later, Su Qing replied, Boss officer, we have another piece of damning evidence against her, which we can present in court, proving her poor moral character, and that she has improper financial relationships with others. I watched that video, saw her standing on the street in a daze, completely stunned, walking alone through the bustling crowd, like a lonely soul abandoned by the world. For the first time, she began to think back on the times we were together. We weren't rich, but had she ever suffered such humiliation? I gave her my entire salary. Whatever she wanted to buy. I'd complain about the price, but would always buy it for her in the end. I never let her wash a single dish, or cook a single meal. I held her in the palm of my hand, but she was the one who shattered it all. The seed of regret had finally sprouted in her heart, and was growing like wildfire, but it wasn't enough, not nearly enough. It was time to spring the trap. After many days and nights of secret investigation, with the cooperation of the tax authorities, fair competition bureaus, and many other departments, we had completely pieced together the entire criminal chain of the Shen Corporation. Tax evasion was just the tip of the iceberg. They were also involved in loan fraud, illegal fundraising, and even money laundering. A massive corporate crime empire that was already rotten to the core. The arrest operation was set for 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Multiple city departments coordinated, and hundreds of police officers moved in like lightning. I personally led the team. The target was the corporate headquarters building. The Hong Fat case. Primary target Shen Hao. Police sirens wailed as our cars sped toward the location. We surrounded the building, leaving no way out. We stormed inside, sending the employees into a panic. I took 2 of my teammates and headed straight for the vice president's office. On the top floor, we kicked the door in. Shen Hao was sitting in a large leather chair, casually sipping his coffee. The moment he saw us, the smile on his face froze. You're under suspicion for your connection to multiple white-collar crimes. By law, we are placing you under arrest. I pulled out a pair of cold steel handcuffs. He suddenly lost it. I'll take you down with me. He grabbed the coffee cup from his desk and hurled it at me. I tilted my head, easily dodging it. In one swift move, I lunged forward, grabbing his arm and twisting it behind him, and I slammed him down onto his desk. At the same time, another team of my colleagues was in the chairman's office. They had arrested Shen Hao's father, Shen Shan, the same business tycoon who once tried to use his connections to pressure me. That afternoon, news of the Shen Group's collapse was all over the media. Father and son were both facing the law. Ling Huan was in a cheap rented room, not even 10 square meters in size. That's when she saw the news on her phone. On the screen was a picture of me personally cuffing Shen Hao. She stared at that photo, the blood draining from her face. She finally realized that for vanity and a cheap thrill, she had messed with someone truly terrifying. A week later, the city police department issued a formal commendation. My new position was deputy captain of the Criminal Investigation Division. My world was filled with sunshine. Hers had become a bottomless abyss. The day of our divorce hearing finally came. At the courthouse, I sat in the plaintiff's chair. Beside me was Su Qing, calm and sharp. Opposite us was Ling Huan in the defendant's chair. After several months without seeing her, she looked completely haggard. Her long hair had been cut short, and her once beautiful face was now ashen. When she saw me, a flash of resentment flickered in her eyes, but it was immediately followed by endless fear and regret. She must have heard about my promotion. Our worlds had been completely turned upside down. I was soaring high above the clouds, and she was down in the mud. Opposite us was Ling Huan in the defendant's chair. I hadn't seen her in months. She looked like a completely different person, haggard, with a hollow gaze. The lawyer she hired was just a rookie. Faced with Su Qing's powerful presence, he was so nervous his words came out all jumbled. The trial began. Su Qing laid out her arguments with clear logic and sharp words, presenting one piece of evidence after another. The recording of her humiliating me, the security footage of her and Shen Hao in our marital home, and proof that she had been stalking and harassing me. Each piece of evidence was like a sledgehammer, shattering Ling Huan's pride. All she could do was repeat, again and again, I was wrong. When it was my turn to speak, I rose from my seat. The courtroom fell silent. I didn't look at Ling Huan once, and simply said one thing to the judge. I request that the court grant all of my petitions. I want nothing more to do with this person ever again. With that, I sat back down and didn't say another word. In the end, the judge delivered the verdict. The defendant Ling Huan was found to be severely at fault, and the divorce was granted. The defendant was awarded none of the marital assets. The ruling meant Ling Huan would walk away with nothing. When I stepped out of the courthouse, it was a beautiful sunny day. Congratulations, Deputy Captain Qin. You've been given a new lease on life. Ling Huan stumbled out of the courtroom, escorted by a bailiff. Her eyes immediately fell on our tightly clasped hands and the relieved smile on my face. She froze on the spot, her eyes filled with despair and jealousy. She had lost everything. While I was about to start a brand new life. A few months later, on a rainy late autumn night, I was driving Su Qing home. We had just made our relationship official, and everything felt like a beautiful dream. I pulled up to her apartment building and was about to get out to walk her upstairs. Suddenly, a gaunt figure lunged out from a dark corner of the street, blocking the front of the car. It was Ling Huan. She wasn't holding an umbrella, and she was soaked to the bone. Soaking wet. What are you doing here? She saw me, her eyes fixed on mine. Su Qing sat in the passenger seat, her makeup flawless, her clothes elegant. She wasn't hysterical like last time. With a splash, she just dropped to her knees in a cold puddle. She started bowing frantically, her head hitting the pavement in my direction. Qin, I was wrong. I was so wrong. Can you please forgive me? I'm begging you. I have nothing left. I'm living in a basement. Working 3 jobs a day every single day is a living nightmare. Her voice was hoarse, raspy, and mixed with the sound of the rain, she sounded utterly pathetic. Su Qing frowned, unbuckling her seatbelt to get out of the car. Su Qing frowned, unbuckling her seatbelt to get out of the car. I reached out and stopped her, shaking my head. I got out, popped open an umbrella, and walked over to the passenger side. I opened her door and held the umbrella over Su Qing's head. I shielded her from the wind and rain, and only then did I turn back to look at Ling Huan still kneeling in the storm. You know something, when I was undercover, a bullet grazed my scalp, but I never felt fear. Watching my partner get shot right in front of my eyes, I didn't feel fear then either. But that day, when I opened our front door and saw you and Shen Hao in our home, that's when I was scared. You destroyed the Qin Jun who used to love you. The light in her eyes instantly vanished. So you can drop the pathetic act. I don't hate you because you're not worth it. After I said that, I didn't give her a single glance. I held the umbrella for Su Qing, carefully sheltering her in my arms, and walked into the building without looking back. Behind me, the sobs that Ling Huan had been holding back for so long finally broke free, but her cries were swept away by the storm. Never to reach my world again. I received a letter. The return address was from the city's #1 prison. The handwriting on the envelope was a mess, full of anger and resentment. It was from Shen Hao. Because the amount of money involved was so large and the circumstances of the crime were especially severe, he was sentenced to 20 years. In his letter, his previous arrogance was completely gone, replaced entirely by his terror of life behind bars and a newfound fear of me. He used long paragraphs to curse out Ling Huan. At the end of the letter, he even begged me, hoping that I would see he had learned his lesson and turned over a new leaf and help pull some strings for him. After I finished the letter, I let out a soft laugh, casually folded it, and slipped it into a fresh, clean envelope. I had a colleague look into Ling Huan's current whereabouts. She was now in a more remote location, working at an even grittier car wash. I didn't go myself. I asked my colleague Xiao Li, the one who had heard Shen Hao's taunting recording in the police car, to run a little errand for me. Xiao Li drove his own car to that car wash to get it cleaned. Ling Huan was wearing a baggy waterproof uniform, mechanically holding a high-pressure water gun as she sprayed the soap suds off the body of the car. Her hands were red from the cold, and her face was splattered with water. As Xiao Li was paying, that letter accidentally slipped from his pocket, landing right at Ling Huan's feet. Oops, dropped my letter. Ling Huan bent down and picked it up. When she saw the words State Prison #1 on the envelope and saw that it was addressed to me, Qin Jun, her hand began to tremble uncontrollably. Xiao Li pretended not to notice, took the letter back and stuffed it into his pocket, but he made sure to leave it sticking out. Ah, whatever. This thing's useless anyway. My boss just told me to toss it after I read it. How about you take it? You can sell it for scrap paper. After Xiao Li left Ling Huan as if possessed, picked it back up. She tremblingly opened the letter, which was now stained with dirty water. On it, Shen Hao's resentful words were like poisoned daggers, stabbing straight into her heart. The charm she thought she possessed, the one she had sacrificed everything for. In that man's eyes, it was just foolishness and the source of a catastrophe. A year later, I was the deputy captain of the city's criminal investigation squad in charge of major cases. My relationship with Totun was going great. She's smart, independent, and she understood the dangers and crazy hours of my job. She also always knew how to give me comfort when I was at my most exhausted. I decided to propose to her. I chose the coffee shop where we first met, at that same table by the window. The sunlight streamed through the glass, warm and bright. I was a little nervous, my palms sweating. I took the velvet box I'd been holding on to out of my pocket. I opened it. Inside was a simple but sparkling diamond ring. Totun looked at me, her eyes immediately welling up with tears. Will you spend the rest of your life with me? I will.